Get it? The leg extension is not one of my favorite exercises because it's just such an unnatural movement. But for this particular condition, the patella femoral syndrome, I really like it because it actually strengthens the quads. Remember what I said is that muscular dysfunction or muscular imbalance could cause this. A very strong quad to a weak hamstring could cause it, but also a weak quad could make this happen. So when you do this, you want to make sure that you line the kneecap up to the axis, and that when you get to the top like this, that this center of the kneecap is going straight up. Straight up, so that your knee isn't externally rotated and the kneecap's pointing that way, or the kneecap's pointing this way. Doesn't matter what your foot's doing. So just as long as that when you get to the top here, that this kneecap, the center of this kneecap is pointing straight to the ceiling. Okay? Don't forget that. There's another discussion or non-consensus as to one of the biomechanical contributing factors, and that is that the vastus medialis obliquus is weak, and that because this side of your quad is weaker than this side, that the patella gets pulled to the outside, and it causes pain here. So maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but why take a chance? So I'm taking a little squishy football, stick it in between your legs so that when you come to the top like this, you squeeze in. So you're squeezing with your legs as you're extending your knee, okay? So you could take a towel or a volleyball or a water polo ball, and put it between your legs and squeeze, okay? I would do it. If you have patella femoral syndrome and this might help it, do it. To strengthen your hamstrings, you can use a prone leg curl. You got to line up your knee to the same axis. There's an axis right here. Right here, you want to line your knee up with that. Okay, nice and slow. Make sure your kneecaps point down. That'll strengthen your hamstrings. If you, again, with the mindset that the inner vastus medialis is strong, well then it might be that your adductors aren't as strong as well, because your adductors are on that side of the femur. So you can perform this adduction machine, right? So again, you're going to do like 3 sets of 20 of this. This is not for bodybuilding. It's to get that muscle to start firing, okay? So you might want to do this too. Okay, to get your glute to fire, you can do squats. And if you're going to do them, make sure your knees track over your toes, okay? Squats are great. But you can use this machine too. Make sure your feet are straight forward. Don't turn them out like this. Make sure they're pointing straight ahead so you protect the knee. Then you squeeze your butt. So you squeeze this glute. Now you can go down a little bit and then come back, but you're firing your glutes really hard. Okay? This will help get your gluteus maximus start working, which will help keep monitoring this femur from caving in or contributing to that patella femoral pain. Okay? Okay, if you're the person with patella femoral pain, then you're the person who needs to solve this, because you're in your body all the time. So I showed you foam rolling your calves, foam rolling your quads, foam rolling your hip flexors. I showed you stretches for that. Then I showed you how to strengthen your tibialis, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes. But remember, one of the common words they use in describing the causes of this patellofemoral problem is overload and overuse. So that means when you're stepping or you're landing or doing this stuff, there's something going on that's incorrect that's causing this maltracking of the patella. So you might want to practice that. So as you land, you're looking to see that your knee doesn't go right or left, and that your knee is, over your toes. And you're just going to practice that over and over. Boom. Boom. And if it is overload or overuse because you're a cheerleader or you're a runner or you're a volleyball player, or you've all of a sudden changed the amount or intensity of your activity level, then you need to take a break. Like, I have to get surgery in 10 days. Well, I'm going to have to take a break. You have to let it heal, right? So that's probably the first thing you can do. I'm going to assume that rest, ice, compression, elevation, all that stuff's going to be good for your patella. You can also try some of those patella bands that go across your kneecap. But again, that's just an external brace. You got to figure out, is your quads weak? Is it your VMO or adductor that's weak? Or your hamstrings weak? Is your glute not firing? Or your calves too tight? Or do you have a high arch? And if you have a high arch, then you probably need to go to someone who can recommend a good shoe for you that has a good cushion in there. So you're the one who has to going to have to figure this out because you live in your body. Okay? So I hope this helped you. And if you want more information about the National Council for Certified Personal Trainers, go to nccpt.com or you can go to johnplatero.com. See you later.